Welcome to Labrador Lane. This afternoon we're going to read a story for you. Retrieving with Evie. This is written by Evie's mom. This is me, Susan Harp. It is illustrated by our dear friend John Co. And the publisher are MT Publishing, and they are our dear friends. This book can be purchased through mtpublishing.com. Welcome to Labrador Lane. My name is Evie, and I want to share my story with you. I am a yellow Labrador Retriever who lives with my human family in Evansville, Indiana. Labrador Lane is located in the woods along Pigeon Creek. A lot of wildlife share my special place. Turtles, rabbits, squirrels, ducks, geese, foxes, deer, owls, and great blue herons keep me busy. As we came out this evening, we scared 2 deer out of our yard. I like to swim in my very own lake and run all around my big yard, but sometimes I have to take obedience lessons. My daddy says I have to learn how to be a good citizen, even though I am just a little puppy. Daddy says I'm a good girl and so smart. I can sit, stay, lie down, walk on a leash, and retrieve. I love to retrieve best of all. Sometimes I show my wildlife friends the lessons I have learned. One day, my daddy took me down to the Ohio River. I got so excited when I saw all that water. I tried really hard not to jump in, but I just couldn't resist all those big sticks floating along the bank. I loved retrieving those sticks, but then something shiny bobbed up and down right in front of my nose. Since I am so smart, I remembered what that shiny thing was. My family puts those shiny things into a big blue box. Yes, it was a soda can, just like the ones my family recycles. I made my retrieve and took the prize to my daddy. He was very proud of me, but he said that I could cut my mouth trying to retrieve cans. He was telling me that we could take it home to recycle, but I had already plunged back into the river. I couldn't believe my luck. Soda cans were floating everywhere. I didn't know which one to grab first. Just then I heard my daddy say, "Evie, you can't retrieve all those cans. We would be here all day and you could get hurt. Maybe some of our friends will help us retrieve these cans another day." I really didn't like leaving those cans, but I had to be a good citizen and obey my daddy. It was lunchtime, so we drove up to one of those places that hands you a sack full of food out of a window. I love to stick my head out of the car and drool at those nice people. As we were leaving, I saw a man drop his yummy sack on the ground. I got so excited that I barked to let that man know I would gladly help retrieve his sack. As Daddy stopped the car to pick up the sack, I forgot my good girl manners. I jumped out and had that sack in my mouth before Daddy could get out of his seatbelt. I looked all around for the man who dropped his sack. He was gone, and to my surprise, so was the food in the sack. I was really confused because my family always puts our empty sacks in the kitchen trash can at home. I am sure they do this so I can walk by and sniff for a few days. Then I spotted 2 more sacks and wondered if the food was still in them. I looked around for the owners of the sacks, because I was convinced these people didn't know their sacks were missing. Maybe they saw me retrieve the sacks, the empty sacks, and wanted to leave me sacks with food. You know, I always did get rewards in obedience school for retrieving. My thoughts were quickly interrupted as Daddy took the sack from my mouth. He threw it into a trash bin that was just a few steps away from where I found all the sacks. Evie, you can't retrieve everything around this place. We would be here all day and you could get sick. Maybe some of our friends will help us retrieve these sacks another day. I felt kind of sad as I hung my head out of the window on our drive home. I love sniffing the air when we are driving on the Lloyd Expressway, but I kept thinking about the things I didn't retrieve. I didn't understand why people would throw or drop things if they weren't playing retrieving. I felt a little better when some kids waved at me as their car passed. Ouch! I felt a little sting on my nose, and then it really started to hurt. I whimpered for a moment, and I just let out a howl. My daddy pulled over to see what had happened, and he saw smoke coming from the car seat. I had been hit by a cigarette butt. Those kids who waved at me were nice, but some adult in that car had thrown a cigarette out when they passed us. My daddy put some cool water on my nose, and he said my fur was going to be okay. I didn't feel like sniffing any more air until we got to Labrador Lane. I knew I wouldn't have to worry about litter bugs throwing fire at me once I got home. The only kind of bugs and fire would be from the fireflies that I like to chase in my backyard. That night before bedtime, my daddy said he had been thinking about what a good citizen I was. I had tried to retrieve the trash people had left, but it was more litter than I could ever retrieve alone. He said, Evie, let's call our friends at Keep Evansville Beautiful, and together we can spread the word. My daddy and I were both wagging our tails and dancing around the room. As we were dancing, my daddy gave a cheer. Evie, E-V-I-E. But then he stopped because he had another great idea. Evie, your name can send a message to our friends. E for every, V for volunteer, I for is, E essential. Every volunteer is essential in keeping Evansville beautiful. Now I know why I'm so smart. I'm Daddy's little girl. Help Evie retrieve litter and keep Evansville beautiful. Now, while this story was about Evansville, this can be in any city, any place in the whole world. We want to keep our earth clean. So please remember, as Earth Day approaches us on April 22nd, 2020, let's do our part in helping keep the earth clean. Thank you for watching.